Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. I am unsurprisingly, despite all kinds of preparation, still having technical difficulties, but we'll talk about that. Um, Almost there. Okay. I had this whole window set up with all the links, and my computer decided to crash when I tried to I tried to text myself a link for a link tree for some Palestinian mutual aid. And now my text messages won't open on my computer. Then I had to open up my computer, and the tabs I had about income distribution are not even in my history anymore. Whatever. I reset it up. Thanks for being here and thanks for your patience. Let me open up this chat. Good evening. Okay. So I think I got everything, oof, almost everything back. If you would like to turn on the subtitles, I recommend it. I'm going to go into this slideshow, and it's kind of unusual because it doesn't have like any of the words I'm going to say on it. So it may be helpful to have the subtitle, the captions turned on. You may also wish to grab a glass of water, a notebook, and pen or pencil to take notes. Again, because the slides, you're welcome to, I'm gonna record, this whole thing is being recorded, and I hope that if it goes well, then I'll be posting a link that will be open to everyone. But just in terms of getting the information and whatever you want to remember from it, you may want a pen and pencil, and you may want to turn on the captions. My name is Whitney Sparks. I'd like it if we can introduce ourselves. There's not too many of us here. Um, and I thought that the way we would do that is say where we're from, what brings us here, our name, and if you have a need that you would like to share. I completely understand technical difficulties. Um, yeah. So yeah, and I will after we do that, I will start sharing my screen as part of my introduction, go into the spiel, if that sounds okay. Maybe Ray can kick it off. Ray is going to be assisting me, and they are a super assistant, an accomplice ally who I've been working with for years, and they're going to help if you have any technical difficulties that we can help with during this presentation, please reach out and send them a private message. Um, yeah, and then after we get started, then I'm going to ask if you save your questions to the end. But yeah, let's go ahead and do some introductions.
Cool. Thank you, Whitney, and thank you for doing this seminar. My name is Ray. My pronouns are they and them. I'm from Los Angeles, California, in the United States. Um, and I am here because I'm interested in mutual aid. I think it's really important. I'm interested in like reparations and wealth redistribution. Um, And I think that it's important to amplify the voices of people who are like, kind of coordinating all of those things. And yeah, like Whitney said, I'm here to help. So if any of the participants are having technical problems or even like, non-technical problems, like you're getting spammed by a bot or whatever, you can private message me in the chat window, You can change who you're talking to um, with like there's a little toggle screen above the message box. Um, you can if you're having trouble with that, you can, address me in the regular chat. Um, and yeah, I will be happy to help you.
Thank you. Perfect. Oh, I forgot to say I'm she, they. Thanks for sharing pronouns. I should have said that as part of everyone's introduction, if you don't mind sharing that. And it's okay if you're on camera or off camera.
I guess I can kick it off. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelton. I use they, them pronouns. I'm born and raised in Tucson, Arizona. Um, for the past 2.5 years or so, I've been participating in various mutual aid groups here in Tucson, mostly with unhoused and other resource and housing insecure people. I've been uncovering a little bit about my like family history and especially, being white and a settler. I also have, my mom was from Russia too, so I'm kind of interested in learning more about, yeah, I don't know, the more direct reparations and just learning different tools. Thank you.
Awesome. We love Tucson. Don't be shy. There we go.
Hi, this is Heather Shields. My pronouns are they, them. I'm checking in from Corpus Christi, Texas. Um, I've been participating in mutual aid for a while now, and I'm hoping to get more people involved in it in my own community. So that's why I'm here.
Hi, my name is Rui. I'm my pronouns are he, they. Um, I'm from Portugal. I'm a designer and artist, and I've been also recently working as a social worker in the Roma community here. And I'm also interested in the subject of mutual aid. And here we are having a big rise in the far right with a lot of attacks on immigrants community, like everywhere else in the world right now, I think. And I think it's very important to think about how can we support the communities and how can help build these secure communities for everyone.
Hello, my name is Sarah. I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia, but currently residing in Santa Rosa, California. Um, I too have been involved in some mutual aid work, but I'm really right now focusing kind of on seeing if I can organize something a little more concrete in my community. So I'm excited to hear what you have to share.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to read from the comments. I think these are the other two people who are with us. Chris, having technical difficulties, completely understand that. So relatable. I'm in Oregon, working on building community and learning more about mutual aid. Awesome. Mercy, they, them, but any is okay. I think I can't, oh, there we go. My mouse was hovering over the thing. I got invited last minute. However, I'm checking in for Willamette Valley in Oregon. And hell yeah for mutual aid. I help with some projects. I wanted to join to see what this is about. Great. Thank you. Welcome. I'm so excited. Okay, a little bit nervous. All right, let me share my screen. This is the big moment. Let's see if the shoot screen sharing is gonna work. And introduce myself. My name is again Whitney. You go by with she, they pronouns. I live in Huchun, which is the East Bay area of California. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna try to share the thing screen. It looks like it's working. Okay. All right, so here we are. Oh, I probably could make it full screen too. I guess this is it. This is the moment. Um, sorry for enter full screen. Okay. I can't like talk and then multitask. I'm sorry. But um right, so this is the start. Let me go to about me. I'm a tenant organizer. I'm a single mom. I'm a second generation unschool slash homeschool mom. I myself was unschooled. And I'm also unschooling my kid. I said where we are, said my pronouns. I have a 9-year-old. I'm also a birth worker, and I've been using this hashtag for several years, create sanctuary for Black mages, which I feel kind of really encapsulates like where I've come to, sort of politically, like my what's my rudder. In addition to being a second generation unschool mom, I also have a degree in American Studies from Yale. So I've been studying like political science and historical inequality for a really long time. Oh, I guess I put that in here. Yeah, I'm also a birth worker, then I became a mom, and now I'm a tenant organizer. These are my pay links. If you're able to make a contribution, I'd appreciate it. I understand if not, if you want to subscribe, that's the best way to my Patreon. And if you have any technical trouble with subscribing, please let me know because I will try to fix that. I know there have been, and I haven't really like updated it in a while. Um, Okay, so then I thought I would share this video. Harm reduction did not originate in settler colonialism. It originated with our communities. That goes back to create sanctuary for Black mages. Um, about 10 years ago, after following the death of Sandra Bland, the execution of Sandra Bland, I started this group FYWOC Intersectional Resources. It stands for Fuck Yeah, Women of Color. It started as a Facebook group. It now is a public Facebook page. It's still a Facebook group. And within that group, we do a weekly piece of the pie post. I don't know if anybody is here from the group, but I was inspired by other groups, work that other Black women were doing, other Black mages. Mages is an abbreviation for marginalized gender and includes anyone who's not a cis man. So other Black mages were doing reparations work in Facebook about 10, even over 10 years ago. I wanted to start this group to bring awareness to the connection of the different issues that I was seeing and the historical connection to the issues that were coming up. And this is in 2015. So, still during an Obama presidency, before we had the rise of Trump. When I saw Sandra Bland had been executed, and she was an outspoken advocate and organizer and activist herself, I was like, I need to have a place where I can share all these connections, that all these things are related to each other without the interruption of like my personal interests and life, etc. Like I wanted a place that was different than from my page, that was it would be an attempt to make these connections like one after another. That was my neurodivergent brain's kind of immediate response to what can I do. And I also wrote an article for XOJane about what happened to Sandra Bland and connecting it to my own, experiences. looks like someone just joined in. Yeah, so but then like shortly into the, history of the group early on, it was apparent that we needed to expand beyond just, information sharing to actual action that could be done online. And there's a lot of discourse about like whether or not we can take action online or if we need to move to the streets. And I would just say that direct reparations, mutual aid, sharing of resources is I think it's the number one best use of social media ever. This is something I've thought, if I haven't said it out loud for years. I probably have said it. And I'm not the only one to say it. I'm not saying that I originated this. I just echo that uh sharing mutual aid is the best use of social media, especially considering what we now are super aware of, which is that these techno oligarchs are horrible people, and all of our social media is technically speaking compromised because it is owned by um, people and corporations who do not share our values. One of the best things we can do to subvert that is to continue to use those platforms, if we are still on those platforms already, for economic redistribution, for changing the hands of money. So we started Piece of the Pie Day. I with this graphic, this like collage that I made. That's kind of the reason why these slides are like that. I'm also an artist. I forgot to mention that's like my profession. And I really like mixed media because again, for my neurodivergent brain, like I love to see things in connection with others, and I'm just kind of obsessed with it and I can't let it go. So I made this image, and then we decided every week on Friday would become Piece of the Pie Day, and it would be one post, and it would be the only post for the day, and then everyone could share their mutual links underneath it. I thought that would be a good way of organizing it. Shortly, I don't know how long into it, um, it became really apparent, like I wasn't the only one. I forgot to name the people, like Tashi Ko. My inspirations were Tashi Ko, who had a reparations group that was only for reparations, and anyone could post what they needed. Anyone Black could post what they needed, and anyone who was able to contribute to it would contribute and would comment underneath that they contributed, so that the post would go up an algorithm. And there were a lot of rules that evolved, but it was a super organized, super efficient, very inspiring example that a lot of people got needs met, including myself, through that. Didi Delgado is someone else who I think originated the term direct reparations as opposed to mutual aid, and we'll get into that. And Creighton Lee also who's Vox Noir, does this kind of work. These people inspired me, and this was the way that I chose to incorporate it. And what I wanted to share right now is how I did that, just so that other people would think about how you could do the same. And it doesn't have to be the same thing. The example I gave of Tashi Ko's like reparations group, my group was nothing like that. And that group was awesome. But even through just doing this once a day and having people post their needs in comments, as well as they were able to post it in the regular group. But this was a way to bring attention. Um, we've met a lot of needs this way. And one that I posted on this slide is like abortion, but also eviction defense, preparing for home births, traveling to different to different gatherings. These are some things that we've been able to fund. These are some examples. Oh my gosh, I didn't finish this slide. I almost finished it. Oh, look, it's still moving. I'm sorry. Um, these are some examples. This is actually from, if I try to switch the screens again, is it going to even work? That's okay. Historical example, Georgia Gilmore is someone who everyone should know. She cooked during the civil rights movements during the 1960s, and her kitchen not only provided meals to civil rights activists who, when they were boycotting restaurants that wouldn't serve Black people, and when they were boycotting buses and, doing things that interfered with everyday life. Like everybody's talking about having a general strike now. It was people like Georgia Gilmore who enabled that. And these are people, these are names that unfortunately we've forgotten or are lost to white versions of history. Also, this was also a form of like I would say mutual aid because they were in the struggle together, but she was also able to raise funds through selling of baked goods, and those things went to bail out literally the civil rights activists who were getting arrested en masse, which you hopefully already know about. Um, right. So let me go back up to so like what are we doing here? We all want to yes, Ray.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Can I
No.
toggle your sharing real quick and see if that helps?
Toggle my sharing.
Yeah, I'm gonna make you able to because you weren't
Oh,
able to share.
I wasn't sharing my slides?
No, not during that whole point. Did it seem like you were?
I thought I was.
No,
I'm
I'm
so
so sorry.
sorry.
Do you want to
Sorry,
try it
guys.
again?
Yeah, for sure.
My
I'm
apologies.
glad that you said that. Can you see it now?
Yes.
So this was the slide about FYWOC that I was saying. You can see everything now, right? There's Sandra Bland. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Here's the collage I said. I was like, y'all were like, what are you talking about? This is like the image that I would share once a week on Piece of the Pie Day, which is Friday. And I have my notes here, but obviously this, like I said, the slides have pictures. Something really important early on that happened was a lot of Black organizers, like myself, like the people I named, we did start to realize after we said that, mutual aid is the best use for social media, we became shadow banned. I was shadow banned. Everyone I know was shadow banned, and it was crazy. And that's kind of how I met Ray. I requested that white allies do the post, actually post the image, because if I posted the image, especially as I was posting most of the other things to the group, it would get buried and it wouldn't be seen. And it has been super helpful also just even to have two people, for your own notes, whether regardless of their ethnicity and background, one person to post and another person who is committed to making a comment or interacting with the post on a different day can help break through that algorithm. Um, yeah. So I'm sorry that you guys didn't see that slide. Did you see the about me slide before? No? This
I
is the
might
one.
have been wrong. Some people said that they could see it, and
Okay,
maybe
no
I was
worries.
wrong. Maybe they could see it. I'm sorry.
It's not that important, but there's the about me slide. I'll actually put my links in the chat, or maybe Ray, you can do that for me. And then I was saying, yeah, what are we doing here? Yeah, this is, it's pretty crazy right now, even for people who have known since way back when. It's still a fucked up time. So it's a great time to talk about what are going to be our next step strategies. And I think mutual aid and direct reparations has to be one of them. And these are some of the ills, that are going on. ICE being the new Gestapo, police killing a record number of people. Sorry, you can't afford to be alive. Hospital bills, healthcare. And I was saying that the atrocities are too great to go on as usual in 2019, before the pandemic even. And so they are even worse now. Discrimination shortens Black lives. Um, great. Did you see Georgia Gilmore? No. Here's Georgia Gilmore. So sorry. This was the slide of Georgia Gilmore. And the slide that I had about fire was even not that important. They got money for wars, but they can't feed the poor. California love. Um, if you aren't participating in direct reparations and mutual aid, like your own life depends on it, you're doing wrong. I think that one of the most important things about mutual aid to me and direct reparations both is that they are accessible. If you can do nothing else, pretty much you can get access to the internet and you can share mutual aid and you can boost mutual aid. And it's super, 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 super critical. What is mutual aid? I think the semantics are not that important, but some people, you may have shown up here just for this. I'm sorry, that's not what you are welcome to take a picture, but when community is empowered to meet their own needs by caring for one another. This is from Peter Kropotkin, what a super famous like white anarchist. If you need to hear from a white man say it, in the long run, the practice of solidarity proves much more advantageous to the species than development of individuals. So it's about helping each other. Oh, I forgot to upload. Here's an example of trees. And in the first picture, I have this, why are they sharing resources with no profit incentive? Because those are mushrooms. It's a very natural thing to share resources. Whales are reportedly sharing resources now between fish in a recent study. I don't know, from like the past couple years. So I'm gonna move forward. Um, to why direct reparations. So I think you have like basically and again, I meant to say this. I'm not an expert. I've just been doing this for a long time. I think it's super important and I want to get the ball running. I want to keep these conversations going and I want you to have something to talk about with your community, some ideas about how you can organize going forward. I'm not really an expert, but I am quite a nerd. I'm now looking at the chat because I realized I haven't been paying attention to the chat. I could see them the whole time. Okay. That's so funny. Yeah, technology is. If this goes well, if I was to do immediately one other thing like this where it was like, buy a donation just for free, I would love to have like a tech salon where we like body double and like de-techify because like so much stuff like you shouldn't be using Google, but like you haven't signed up for the alternative or whatever it is. Like all this shit is really annoying is what it is. Because it's like when you know better, but you can't immediately enact better. And it's just like, you know what? I'm just trying to share information. They're like, yes, we know. We'd rather you not. Sorry. Okay, so direct reparations, median black wealth. And this is from like a couple years ago. I think this is like 2022 statistics or 2021 statistics. Median white wealth, wealth of 1%, quite a bit more. But even before you get to the 1%, direct reparations are needed because um, Black people don't have the same wealth. There's no equality, there's no redistribution without addressing these gross ratios. And if you can still see, you're going to have some wonderful statistics from Nikki Black. I recommend following that account on Instagram. I'm not on Threads if you're on Instagram. Um, ownership of enslaved people increase the wealth so much. You can read this, but one thing I don't think I have on this slide is that the United States government did pay reparations to slave owners after the Civil War, if you weren't aware of that. So, yes, it is something that the government should do, but it is also something that we can work toward. This little slide, this little bit here, I think is of super importance. Only 8% of grant money coming out of foundation goes to communities of color. That's an old slide. It'll be much actually less than now because of Trump directing grants not to to exclude quote unquote DEI applications, projects, proposals. So in an environment, in this context, we need something more than just this idea of mutual aid we're sharing to each other. We also need to talk about um, economic redistribution, not only on a class basis, but also on a race basis or ethnicity, whatever you want to call it. Um, and here we go. So here's some reparations. Did you know that there are more Black people in prison today than were ever enslaved in 1850? So slavery never ended. They just remarketed it. So we're not only talking about reparations for what happened, it's reparations for what's ongoing. And even to talk about what happened is just, it's very huge. I recommend you do study it. There's a lot of people you can learn from, a lot of books you can learn from, but it goes beyond just the concept of labor. Whole lives were stolen. Similarly, of course, there were two genocides that created this country, the genocide of the Native people. Native people are still here, but land theft has been egregious, as you can see from this slide. It's almost like human trafficking is the true basis of capitalism. And this entire global economy is built on centuries of chattel slavery and anti-Black and Indigenous racism and land theft. That is my annotated reading of this post from Bree Newsom. Okay, here we have another video that I don't know will play. And even if it doesn't, yeah, it's okay. It's on YouTube. I'll put my YouTube channel in the chat. I wanted to share that because I gave some more historical background about the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850. We're seeing a repeat of that with ICE. It's not just Nazis that they're referencing. The Nazis themselves referenced the policies of the United States during slavery and Reconstruction. And I was reading, I did a lot of research about this last year because it was 2025, because it was the first year of this second administration. Um, One thing that struck me was that I hear a lot about how a lot, only because I'm a historian, you might hear nothing about this, how abolitionists sort of built up their abolitionist movement after this Fugitive Slave Act so that they could try to rescue people who had escaped slavery, moved to the northern states, and now there was a new threat that they could be bounty hunted and blackbirded, kidnapped, and sent back to slavery. So there was a lot of organization by people of all, like multi-ethnic organization, but there were also a lot of people who were lost, who were trafficked, and who were trafficked back, who escaped to freedom and who were trafficked back into enslavement. And some of those cases are what inspired um, the most visible presentations of the abolitionist movement, like certain coalitions. And I just want to say that, all of our lives matter, and including our ancestors' lives matter. And I think it's really important to also talk about, to examine, uh, what, you know, that video really actually says it better than I'm saying it, but to examine what the cost is about that. Like, I think those coalitions are great, but what wound up happening is after they like lost someone, like, he was, taken back into slavery, they formed their organization, and there were a lot more fugitives who came up, but a lot of them didn't go through that organization. They went to the Black community themselves, which is like direct. It's not direct reparations, but it's like direct mutual aid. They weren't going through this organization calling itself the, Boston Abolitionist Society that was made up of largely allies and accomplices. They were finding people word of mouth, other Black people. And both are good. But I want to push back on like, oh, this was worth it because like we were able to build this coalition, which is almost exactly what they wind up saying. Detained people do not just disappear. Like Liam, we know about Liam, right? And this is what this slide is about. Liam, they got him out. Now, of course, Trump is trying to deport him to Ecuador, but like there's thousands of other children who are still detained. And even when people do get deported, they're still alive. Those are still people, and they still need support. Nobody is, not only is nobody illegal on stolen land, people don't actually just disappear. And there are people who are tracking like ICE flights, and you should, by all means, if you feel inspired and encouraged, like I said, I'm a single mom, I can only do so much, but like we can find and we can build like our own systems of infrastructure to continue to provide like legal support, legal aid, bail support, funding for like just food, for seeing the doctor, for wherever people wind up. And I think that's kind of what inspires me to continue to say, this is actually a really valid form of organizing, just looking at and processing mutual aid requests. So this is a slide about greenhouse gases. Billionaires emit 1 million more times of greenhouse gases than the average person. These are some little Christian things because as you organize, this is for whomever. You don't have to align with anyone you don't align with, but like wherever you are, if you even if you're call yourself a Christian or not, like there's an end for everybody in terms of giving money back. If it's the environment, you know what I'm saying, you care about. If you don't care, if you say you don't care about Black lives, nobody's gonna maybe say that. But you can care about the environment. Maybe you care about Christianity. Maybe you care about your faith. There is there's a lot of reasons to do this. And to me, we stopped back in this FYWOC group. We stopped sharing the same picture because again, the algorithm's gonna get sick of the same picture. And now the pictures I like to use for that to, inspire people to give money and do direct reparations are all about money itself and how the rich are getting richer, which means we need to do the most to fund the poor. In times of like lack and scarcity, we actually need poor people need more resources. We can't not talk about it. We have to we have to continue to speak out loud about what we need, even where if we're not the poorest of the poor. If we don't talk about it, it's happening without resistance, and without awareness. This is just on ICE, and this is just this year. The wealthiest people are paying the lowest tax rate ever. And ICE just got $22 billion in contracts. Those are private companies. ICE has a budget that exceeds the military budget of all but 15 countries. You can see here that profits are up, labor compensation is down. I'm going to skip this video, but if the wealth in the US was divided equally, there would be $700,000 per family in annual income. And direct reparations, like giving people who have less money cash, works. This is an example from Kenya. This is an example from Oregon that the people from Oregon may have heard about. Homeless Oregon youth got $1,000 per month for 2 years. Most found housing afterwards. This is about the Black maternal health crisis, although it is in Kenya. Um, when mothers were given $1,000, they had higher rates of health and success with their babies. This kind of thing really does make a difference. Again, with the reparations, we're talking about specific types of inequality. BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, private landowners of the actual land that the stolen land that's called the United States are 1.1% of ownership of that land. And this is also from like maybe 2021, I'm sure. I'm not sure. So, and white private landowners, that's just individuals, that's 43.9. Other white people are going to have more likely of a direct connection to those other white people than likely most BIPOC. This is what has to be redistributed. These two slides on the end are from this account, Faggot Planet. I haven't seen them posting that much recently, which makes sense because social media, these things suck. But super powerful statements that I very much, agree with. At this point, these are very radical, and you don't have to have these same opinions to participate, or to get other people to participate with you, even if you feel this way. But this is certainly how I feel. I think it's backed. I think it's backed by the facts. And here's the place to start. If you're thinking about where the money is going to come from, or if anybody else is, if you can cancel your subscriptions to these things, stop giving your money to these places, that would be fantastic, because that's just going back in the hands of the pedophile billionaire class. These money going to these corporations. Again, like I said, like, could we talk about a D-Tech, a D-Tech day? All right, so direct reparations. Yes, again, I've already said it, not surprised, just reiterating it. The two most stolen items in the world: indigenous land, the surplus value of Black labor. Reparations are not mutual aid, and mutual aid is not charity. Charity, only 8% of that kind of thing winds up going to communities of color. Grants is not the same as charity, but it's close. Mutual aid is when we're sharing with each other. Reparations is acknowledging what's happened, the historiosity, the history and the legacy of what's happened to Black and Indigenous people specifically. You're not giving to the less fortunate, returning stolen land, and financial stability. Here's a really helpful wheel of power and privilege. There's a website down here. You may be able, that website may still exist and maybe will give you a better, higher resolution. And each of these things can be broken down and also could even be adjusted. I don't necessarily, there's like, I would give notes on almost all of these wheels, but it does help you to start to think about how power is consolidated and where, who's marginalized. This is a statement I made years ago that this, grounds my work in these terms of create sanctuary for Black mages. I do believe that white people and cis men should be doing more than their share of provisional wage and emotional labor when possible. It's not always possible, and that's okay. By any means necessary to provide for and protect BIPOC mages. The more they do, the more liberated the rest of us are to do the things needing doing, including rest. And a lot of times the things that need doing are things that BIPOC mages know how to do better, for out of experience from survival. Don't acknowledge white supremacy and not do anything about it. It's not fine. You have a responsibility to act. Hoarding wealth and this is a really good one, I think, to share. And this is from Black Girl Mighty. This is one of the last things I sent to myself when my messages crashed. Black Girl Mighty. All of this is in honor and in memory of Black Girl Mighty. She was a Black mage who did this work all the time. You can still go to the Instagram. And she started posting, she needed help herself and she passed away. She passed away about like 1-2 years ago. And we're still doing this work. And it's, it's largely unacknowledged, but I think this is a really important sentiment to share because I think that some people aren't aware that you can't just do these things and have it mean nothing. Continuing to spend all your money on Amazon when you are not a BIPOC mage yourself, BIPOC mages have their own reasoning, maybe. But if you are a white person, the time is past due to change. Wonderful guiding statement from the 1980s. If Black women were free, it would mean that everyone else would have to be free, since our freedom would necessitate the destruction of all the systems of oppressions. That's the Combahee River Collective. Includes June Jordan is one of the authors of that statement. This is from a book, Wake, by Rebecca Hall. And it's about women-led slavery revolts on slave ships. Let me emphasize this point. This is statistical. The more women were on board a slave ship, the more likely a revolt would occur. That's another strategic reason why it's important to give to Black mages specifically. This was a tough slide to do. I couldn't limit myself. The unpaid labor of racialized gendered parenting reproduces the status quo. Having children is the single greatest predictor of whether someone will face eviction. That is from a Harvard study. This is cited by a landlord watch list project, I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly. The study, I think, was in 2016. Here it is, also published in the New Republic. Having children is the single greatest predictor of whether someone will face eviction. Black women are often the primary and/or financial caretakers of immediate family and extended family. Black women are known and expected to show up consistently for others and the greater good. Landlords target mothers for eviction. How does one charge what one's worth, no matter what you're doing, when they live in a society that treats them and their labor as worthless? That's conditioned from slavery, right? And it has a real effect. Nearly half of the mortality gap between Black and white adults can be traced to the cumulative toll of racism, a lifetime of stress heightened inflammation due to racism. And capitalism depends on unpaid women's labor. This is more stuff about parenting and how much it costs. And this is bringing up to the present moment. That stuff was all true before. At the present, in the last couple, just last year, Black women lost over 319,000 jobs between February and July of 2025. And white men saw the largest job increase. They took our jobs and are giving them to white men. That's reverse reparations, just like they reparated the slave owners. The unemployment rate rose to 7.3. This is from this year. And in particular, this is going back to the last statistic about having children being the predictor of eviction. Also, Black children are the most at risk of the demographic most at risk for homelessness in the entire country. Black children are the demographic most at risk for homelessness in the entire country. How do you protect Black children? Well, support their moms is a really strategic good start. In particular, Black women and mothers historically and presently face eviction at alarming rates, according to ACLU. Landlords filed evictions against Black women at almost twice the rate of white renters. So that's tantamount to the amount of number of Black men like in prison, which is higher than slavery. And furthermore, even though we're not getting these jobs are not safe, stable, and they've never been safe for us. We don't need studies or meetings. I would recommend following this person too. They're on bluesky. The GOP is expending billions to stop what you could solve with millions. They know that targeting us is a good way to destroy society. It's time for our allies and accomplices to recognize that supporting us is huge on a movement level. And it doesn't even mean, though I'm saying nothing against being out in the streets. Diversity of tactics. Yes, continuation. Whose life have you been socialized to see value in? This is from Rumayesa Ozturk, who just won that she doesn't have to be detained. There's no case against her. She's not going to be deported, but she was detained. Oh my God. Yeah, this reminds me of Leka Cordia, who she just got back to detainment from the hospital. She needs to be freed. We should have been advocating for her like we advocated for Mahmoud for the exact same amount of time. Who are we listening to? And it's like women of color. Women of color, even as we think they're not falling through the cracks, they are. These are some statistics about California. I grew up here and I still live in the Bay Area about how the Black population is declining. Um, and I mentioned like my organizing background. I think homelessness is really important to talk about. I think it's also just important to talk about like what happens before you actually get there. We need to stop pulling people out of the river. We need to go upstream. And upstream is this. Upstream is supporting people before they get evicted, before they even get an eviction notice. We need steady streams of help. Stop praising people from being resilient. Change the systems that are making vulnerable. And sometimes if you can't change the system, you have to build a parallel, even if it's rickety, system on Zuckerberg's stupid ass social media. Yeah, because those things really make a difference. Those enable us to pay the rent, to get an abortion, to go to the doctor, to pay for our medicine. I have seen this. It means a lot. These at the bottom have our statistics from recently from last year that show that the risk of being evicted, this housing insecurity is affecting Black maternal health. So it's actually impacting to make it more likely, those statistics that Black women are like 3 to 4 times more likely to die in childbirth. Black mothers, I should say, and Black birth givers, whether they're women or not, are so much more likely to die in childbirth. And it has nothing to do with biology. It's about systemic racism. One of the factors, the sort of invisibilized factors, is housing insecurity in and of itself. We can address that as a community, as individuals, by organizing for mutual aid. So that means liking and sharing mutual aid posts, finding them, and maybe you set up a group, set up a neighborhood signal group or Facebook group or WhatsApp chat group to share those things. This is my collage about why I support Black women. We've talked about it. Your redistribution depends on your personal financials. This is a really good, helpful diagram. Safety is ensuring that people have what they need to survive every day. Actually, very easy. Poor people deserve nice things too. So this end of the scale is for those who are unable or struggle to meet their needs and have little to no expendable income. You could give $0 to $20. And at the other end of the scale, it says $300 to $500. That's awesome if somebody can do that one time. Another thing that I think people with resources, especially have like just having a steady income, is do things like subscribe. If you are a person of color, especially like a mother of color, if you're watching this to share this with someone else or on the recording, make sure you have like a Cash App, a Venmo, a PayPal. You're gonna have a place for people to give to you even before you think you need it. And GoFundMe's are good, although they have been pulling down certainly Palestinians' accounts. Chuffed is another site. Give Butter. Those are places to set up receiving funds if you need to receive funds, or if you want to talk with someone else who needs to receive funds and they don't have an immediate way to do that. We should also be talking about how to send money. Some people will definitely know better than I do across borders, because that is necessary and it's possible, still possible. This is what I was saying about accessibility being important, so that everyone can do something. And I think that's most of my slides. I'm going to try to switch windows. And I'm also going to look at the chat because I haven't been looking. I can't actually see the chat from the way my screen is right now. Oh, I also recommend I put these other support links. This is a Black trans organization out of Philadelphia, I think. They share a lot of great slides also about economic redistribution, and it's good to support them right now. Let's see. Okay. Now my screen sharing is paused. Yeah, okay, let's go back this way. Oops. Okay. Let's see if I can share this. Can you see this? Yes. This is the US wealth distribution. And these stats came from this website. That will show you sort of the proof of some of the things that I had on the slide about if it was equally distributed, we would have $700,000 each annually. All of us, can you imagine? It'd be so much different. Okay. And these are two write-ups I did about this back in 2019. I wasn't housed then. And this is kind of like, it may be a little bit outdated, but this is kind of like what the information I want to continue to share and to continue to have this conversation. And I'll put them in the chat. These are not behind a paywall. Okay. And this is how does direct giving work, reparations, why they're needed, some of the things that I was talking about. And so I'm going to go ahead and put those in the chat. And then this one, I can put the income distribution thing in the chat too. Why not? Yeah, so I think it's time for questions. Wow, it's 7 o'clock. Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, even with delay, I finished the slide parts at 7. I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to do it, y'all. I don't know if I was talking fast and super confusing, but like still. Oh gosh. Yeah. Feel free to unmute yourselves because I'm looking down if you have a question, or if yeah, or you can write it in the chat. Right, I said I was talking about tech notes. Um, Upriver, direct reparations and mutual aid make possible. Oh yeah, in my own experience, I was going to give examples of things that they direct reparations and mutual aid have made possible. Staying long enough to fight my landlord. I said I was a tenant organizer. Without direct reparations and mutual aid, I wouldn't have been able to stay here long enough to fight my landlord. They are the largest corporate landlord in my city. This is really wonderful, but I couldn't do this without everyday support. Um, Including also flying my Palestinian flag for the whole neighborhood to see. That wouldn't be possible. I live across the street from a Zionist frat, so it's who was flying the Zionist flag for at least a year, if not longer. And I would have people literally say thank you for having this flag there. If I didn't have my home, I wouldn't be able to do this. If I didn't have direct reparations and mutual aid, I wouldn't have my home. This is it means something. I promise you it means something. Bail support. That's so important. If we're gonna have diversity of tactics, we need to have bail support. It's accessible, diversity of tactics, actual yeah. When we talk about nonviolence and peace, I'm actually not one who really talks about that. That's just not realistic. I refer and defer to what Angela Davis said about nonviolence and violence. But if people are super into it, then they need to be super into reparations and mutual aid and direct. Like that is the most peaceful way that we could possibly have change is if we stop having second houses where people don't have any place to live. Just an idea. Just a thought. Paylings, international, commissary. It's important to talk about putting money on commissary is huge. There's also bail and then there's commissary. That's important. Um, to talk to people who have experience doing that. Sometimes that does require you to share more of your identity. I don't think there's a lot of risks for organizing mutual aid. That said, it is a form of resistance, and they have tried to criminalize it in Tucson. Tucson knows. You know all about that. Can you imagine those people who are not familiar? It's just unimaginable. We got over 100-degree temperature, and they're saying that it's illegal to give out a water bottle.
Yeah, and recently the city council voted to repeal it, but it took a lot of 5 years that ordinance was in effect.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so glad they repealed it. I am literally like, that's just wonderful news. And thanks for the advocacy on that. That's insane, though. You guys, so that's when you have to break the law anyway. Like, are you fucking kidding me? But as far as like risk, I just don't think there's a lot of risk. But I just want to say there's not a lot of risk, but it is something that they have on their radar. Also, police use the term mutual aid. This is a fun fact I learned from police raiding my neighborhood. They call it mutual aid when they call for backup from like different departments. Creepy, weird. I don't know. I'm mentioning it for no particular reason. What places to think about organizing for mutual aid, your community, local networking. But as you can see in this, we have people from all over. And in FYWOC, we have people from all over the world. So that's another thing that I like about it is it's really anti-fascist to be like beyond borders. I know people love local shit, but it's really anti-fascist to be beyond borders. I'm gonna just say that. Do both, but don't trap yourself behind borders. Networking, wherever you went to school, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, grad school, people you know from your social media groups that you go to for other things, say, hey, I'm thinking about starting a new group, or I want to share some mutual aid stuff in this group. Would anyone object? And if they do object, let everyone see that. Let everyone see that they're doing that in the year 2026 and then move from there. If you are in a professional organizations or clubs or unions, of course, talk about mutual aid and direct reparations in your professional organization and unions. Your faith places and houses of worships are a wonderful place. I mean, sometimes I think I almost wish I could like rejoin a faith. I'm not, just so I could like rally people for this, like in Jesus' name. Oh, I hope that's not offensive. Oh my God, this is being recorded. I respect Jesus for the record. You don't have to be Christian to do that. Yeah. So, but if you are, then you can do it even way better than me, like with a lot more respect. And you should, because it's Christian. It's actually with any faith. It's all of the faiths. Hobby and interest groups, crafting, sports. And a Greek anarchist told me, and I never will forget this, you don't let go of the sports teams, you stay in the sports arena, which, especially considering the Super Bowl just happened, is interesting. I think it's maybe debatable, but it's certainly worth considering. And especially again with mutual aid and direct reparations, you only got to sneak in there like it's such a good way. It's such a good way. Like if you're already in the group, they can only kick you out. You know what I mean? For if you advocate for like economic redistribution. So there's no reason to not do it if you can. If you are a fan of a team or have a hobby that, introduce this to that society, that social club, sports team, I said, okay, neighborhood and local groups. The number one thing that I can't forget to say, consent. If you're working, especially for other people, for other people who need mutual aid or direct reparations, always, always, always get consent. On social media, having faces really helps bring things up in the algorithm, but you need to have consent for that, including consent for using stock photos or for using someone else's photo. Just get consent for whatever visuals you're using, but those can really help. Um, be persistent, be consistent. You can do something like what we do is like we have this post every week and whatever's there is there. Or, you can really handhold if you have a case that you really care about, like it's your neighbor, and you can make sure that that specific post is posted every week or every day. Consistency goes so, so, so far, and it's so underrated because when you make a difference in like one family's life, that changes the way everything goes from there. Not only from what they do, but how people think about things and what is possible. Um, you do have to go against societal norms to talk about money and to ask for money. That is like one of the biggest probably challenges, I would say. If you have the will to do it, you can do it. Celebrate small wins, diversity of tactics. I said that. Be willing to shift and change social circles. That kind of goes back to what I was saying about the teams. You might be in a sports bar and people might not want to hear it, but oh well. It's worth it. It's worth bringing it up. It's worth trying. Um, don't use AI. No, AI is not worth it ever. Do not use AI to make your flyers. Talk to me, reach out to me, please. I have like extra flyers for you. Do not use AI. It's not fucking worth it. You should already know why. Sorry if I don't explain it. Please believe me and do some research. Use subtitles, use captions, use alt images. Graphics are helpful. Children, always use consent. A lot of these apps are for children, and sometimes, again, faces help. Children's voices help. I have a child. People knowing about that and having that face, I think, has boosted the algorithms. But you want to use consent, um, especially considering these social media sites. I don't use X, by the way, but again, I literally have a whole list of tech, a whole page I was like, and that's why we're not doing that today. We could talk about all these apps one by one and just like share anecdotal information about like here's best practices. This is what I turn off. I don't use this one at all. Da, da, da. I'd love to do that, but I don't think we have time for that tonight. But stay wherever you heard about this before, keep checking that and I'll post it there. If we ever do that. Okay. If you have any questions, just feel free to interrupt me. I'm just checking my last notes. Oh, right. But last thing, it was about mutual aid. That's not money. Money, of course, helps, and I talked a lot about money. There are other things that help. Like Ray is helping me so much by having the Zoom on their Zoom. and like making sure we could set up the tech before this. By even posting the thing, like I said, I needed an accomplice to post it. Like these types of like bureaucratic technical tasks, I wouldn't be able to share this information with you if I didn't have that, period. So it makes a huge impact. I've been thinking about doing this for years. Okay. I needed help to be able to do that. So don't underestimate that. It's not an instead of money, it's an addition to. Again, especially when we're thinking about reparations, there's never gonna be actually probably enough reparations considering for whatever was done with slavery and the outcome. So it goes beyond money, and money is never excluded from that. But we can also do other things if we don't have that. Growing food, giving it away, having food at all of your meetings, union meetings, whatever meetings. Please bring snacks, bring water. If it can be fruit and vegetables, that's awesome. If not, whatever. Especially doing in real life harm reduction. Body doubling for bureaucratic labor, just literally being on the phone with people makes a huge difference. Domestic labor, oh my God, doing the dishes is a revolutionary act. Always volunteer if you can to do the dishes. And childcare, if you, especially if you have kids, if you know other people, if you have kids, like if you know other people who work well, like set it, don't just have it be one person, do like have a few people together, talk it out. But if you can work it out, again, is a huge deal. It makes a big difference. Safety notes. I think there's nothing less safe than the lack of empathy and compassion. There's nothing less safe than that. So again, I don't think there's a lot of danger to this. If you want to do something a little bit more dangerous, like look up war tax resistance, and it's still not that dangerous, probably. It's pretty safe physically, it's very accessible. They have tried to criminalize it. I mentioned Tucson in my notes. On scammers, I don't care. I don't think scammers are a big deal considering the Epstein files now. Like, the biggest scammers are known and nothing is happening to them. Why are you worried about some random, like potentially like Nigerian fraud account? Like, but if you're concerned, you don't have to work with it. You're not required to work with everyone. That's your own boundaries. The analogy would be like, people complain about, oh, like the homeless person, if I give them money, they're going to use it to buy alcohol. Who gives a fuck? Sorry. It doesn't matter. And like another person who's passed away who I'm gonna send out to, my really good friend Iggy Igloo, who I met through mutual aid, which brought me to Standing Rock. And there he was a firekeeper there. And one of the things I can never forget is that sometimes the language was brought back because of someone who was too extra, too special, too inebriated, too neurodivergent to effectively colonize, to be kept in school. They got kicked out. They wandered the streets, but they kept their language. That's how it was recovered. So I don't want to hear, that's why that one slide said like about don't judge. Scammers are really to me the least of them. I'm sorry. I don't think it's a real danger. Um, Except for, of course, if it's like some white nonsense, black white nonsense, of course. Um, yeah, and set your boundaries. If at best you set your boundaries before you begin, and that way, if something like pings, like, oh, I think this is exactly the real scammers are the corporal rats and billionaires, 100%. If you have some things that you know you're not gonna like accept or tolerate, like certain language or something, whatever it is, even including like boundaries, like if it's a border, maybe it's a specific like local thing or it's a specific activity, and that was a compromise with organizers. Set those boundaries ahead of time, and then if something goes out of it, you know what's encountering that boundary, and be flexible. Then you might change the boundary or not, but like that way you know why you're doing what you're doing is not arbitrary, and you can be held accountable, others can be held accountable. Accountability is wonderful in my opinion for changing systems. Yeah, that was it. That's all I got. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being here. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? If not, I'm gonna like let us go. I really appreciate you being here. Yes, since someone,
Uh,
yeah.
Hi. I just wonder if you could talk a little bit how you started your online community. How do you started to reach out to people? If you started with people that you already knew, and how was it to scale to other people?
Yeah, thanks. I should have said that when I talked about FYWOC. That's a great and perfect question that I meant to answer. So thank you so much. Um, right. So I've been on Facebook since it came out because of going to Yale as an undergraduate. When Zuckerberg was an undergraduate, I was an undergraduate too. As it expanded and opened to everyone, and I was witnessing things that were going on, again, I was like, I need a place to specifically make these connections and only these connections without any distractions. And I also realized that like I should network with the people I would be otherwise networking for jobs. I probably, according to this is why I said about going against mainstream, I probably should have instead like I don't know, networked better for jobs, but instead I just like pooled people who I thought would, be interested or like listen, people who I'd like gone to school with into this group and was like, let's do this. Like we're smart people, let's do this. So it was really kind of like a alumni, like it started off that way, and also was other people that I had like just all my like other Facebook friends because I had a lot of Facebook friends at that time for being on the app for so long. I don't think I have so many anymore because I stopped really participating in that app except for this group. At one point in time, we had 1,000 members. We lost a lot of people. There were like different arguments and things like that. And there's been a lot of shadow banning. We're down to like 600 people. It's the only thing I really, you know, go on that particular app for. Um, but that does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Um, so yeah, like I guess I started it and I added people and I added people directly to the group in this Facebook group, and also I was in some other groups. We got a big surge from like a FIM boundary group I was in, and people needed like material needs who were in this FIM boundary group, and I was like, we can do that, and they came over to this group too. So like yes, sharing this idea of doing this in other Facebook groups enabled me to bring these people to this type of Facebook group. And now I have this like Instagram page at makeradicalcare. I share something sometimes in stories. I don't share as much as I should. Um, I really don't like this, meta really sucks. I'm kind of over it. But doing a lot of local Palestinian advocacy, like at city council, like literally IRL with people, brought a lot of also more people like, to this attention. It's just you get it how you live wherever you're at. And I honestly, this is why I'm doing this talk right now, because it's like I felt like people didn't even know what I was doing, even people who were like following me. And I was like, let's like just specifically talk about what this is, what the value of it is, even though I'm not an expert, like this is a crucial piece. And I wanted to, this is gonna be the last thing if there's no more questions. I'm actually going back to the website, or maybe I'll put it in the chat. Actually, maybe that's the way to do it. If only my messages work. I can't believe that they're, maybe I can like airdrop it to myself. Lifeline for Gaza. And then the other one, the one that shut my computer down was Palestine Aztica. I don't know if you know this. They share a lot of just like mutual aid links. So this is where you can find some links. And I want to shout these people out because I mean, the wave that I was coming up on, like I said, there's a lot of other Black mages and mothers who were doing organized for direct reparations. And then since this genocide accelerated starting in 2023, people started realizing like how important it was to give direct reparations to the people of Gaza because no organization was doing it. And even the organizations that we've come to support there are doing direct reparations, and it's harder than hard. Accounts are being shut down all the time, and it's like there's a lot of need. I wish I was doing better, but this is an example of like the persistence that it requires, and you can learn a lot from helping. So I would be remiss to not share these links. And there's so many more. Like again, I will share again this video and like any of the flyers, like any of the ads, the accounts from those flyers are gonna also have more mutual aid links you can support if you're looking for places to support. Let's see. This is the other one. This is the one that closed my Mac, shut my Mac down, and they've been around for a while. I don't know why I think it's sus. So let me put this link in the chat. Thank you for being here. I'm also gonna run. I'm not gonna be here past 7:30. So that's that. Yeah, I think I did. I think I put everything. Oh yeah, like if you want it, let me go to this. This is my YouTube channel, the Freedom Ship Notes. I'm gonna put this one. This is a little history. You can watch on your own. Thank you. Thank you. We always try to, oh no, that's the video link. No social media link. Okay. That's one of the videos, and you can see other videos from there if you want to. All right. Now, how do I stop sharing? Any idea? It was right in front of me. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please keep me posted if you put this in practice, and I will hopefully email you out the YouTube link. Oh, when you go, if you click that YouTube, that's the channel where I'm gonna post it. This is my IG, and I think it's my Blue Sky. Would love to hear from you, hear feedback, or see examples. Message me if it's negative feedback, because otherwise I only take crash or credit. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And have a great evening. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy that this went well. Thanks. Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome. That went great.
Ah, great. Thank you so much. Keep